This is the story of Mahalia Jackson. She lived from 1911 to 1972, and she was a gospel singer. Born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana, Mahalia was always surrounded by the sounds of blues and Mardi Gras. As a child, she sang jazz songs by Bessie Smith in her room at night. But little Haley, as she was called, came from a religious family, and the only music that was acceptable to them was gospel music. She made her singing debut in the choir at the Mount Moriah Baptist Church and blew everyone away with her enormous voice. Later in life, she felt the urge to sing non-religious music, but she had made a promise to herself and her family to sing only gospel, and she stuck to it her whole life. She turned down big nightclub shows and lived on very little money, but in 1946, she recorded a single, Move On Up a Little Higher, and sold over 2 million copies. She gained a following around the United States and traveled for her performances. Her shows drew large crowds from both the black and white communities. Segregation, however, was still the law of the land, and Mahalia struggled with it during and after her performances. When she was on the road, Mahalia kept food in her car just so she wouldn't be relegated to the colored section of a restaurant. At the request of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mahalia participated in the Montgomery bus boycott, and in 1963 she performed at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, where Reverend King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech. She was on the podium behind him, and when he started to go off script, she encouraged him. "Tell him, Martin," she shouted. "Tell him about the dream." The most famous part of his speech wasn't planned, but Mahalia knew how powerful his words were and how important it would be to share them.